All right. Welcome back to Breakfast Daily on City TV. Don't forget to hashtag Heritage Month on City and also hashtag Breakfast Daily. We're heritaging the whole month of March. Don't forget. Now the Heritage Caravan has returned to Accra, so that's done. But we still have the Back to Your Village Food Bazaar on the 26th and 27th of March, and of course, other activities. Our on-air series continues, so you don't want to miss that. But right now, why don't we say a good morning to the host of Footprints on City TV, Mr. Samuel Atta-Mensah.
Good morning.
Samuel, good morning and welcome back.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you.
It's good to see you.
I'm loving this, man.
I tell you.
I'm loving this.
But she can't say I mean, so that.
So what do you have here?
It's called the Nyonya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? A necklace or something?
It's a herbs necklace. Weeds necklace.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You want to go to church with this?
I don't think so. I'm not too sure about that one. I'm not too sure.
Oh, wow. I mean, these are ceremonial stuff. So, yeah.
We're in the mix.
So, typical Ghana dressing?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Typical. Charlie, they've taken me back to my grandmother's place, so Charlie.
Wow.
But it's nice.
Wow.
It's nice. It's in order.
Incidentally, I would only see this kind of dressing during
Festival?
Yeah. That's the Homo, the Twin Festival period. You know, but you don't see it at that. Well, I don't see it regularly, but it's only when you see it, you know that either a Gan or an Ewe person. Is that correct? Ewe people have something close.
We also do this a bit, I think, yes.
Yeah.
But today we are representing Ghana.
Good.
It's in order.
Next time, when I grow up, I'd like to
You
like
also for
this.
someone. They should have dressed you up, man.
Yeah.
But I know we'll be talking about the caravan in a bit later on.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure you enjoyed yourself. We saw the kebab grilling that you were doing. You know, you look like an
grilling,
expert.
they're eating too.
The consumption
I didn't eat so. Unless you have proof.
Oh, we have evidence.
I'm sure Moshara has some cutaways somewhere that you haven't seen. He'll release it. Those rushes are there.
Wow.
No,
we are back from there.
And we thank God you're back safely.
Yes.
You know, uneventfully, because
sometimes it's easy to take these things for granted. You're traveling around the whole country and then you get back safe. We have to be grateful because
the road
not
crash
everybody,
numbers.
not everybody gets back home safe.
Seeing that the Esboy road crash is the same road we used.
Look at that.
You know, only 24 hours before the crash.
Yeah.
And we just have to thank God. Yeah.
We do.
I mean,
but I must say that by and large, so since we started the caravan, we have seen some improvement in the availability of good roads, if you want to say. Before, it was near impossible to use the Western North, as in from Takwa to Bibiani through to Sunyani route. It was a nightmare, and we quite easily did it this time around without even noticing.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
I mean, you find patches of untarred roads, but not what we used to have.
Yeah.
And so that also made
That's always good news.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, I mean, I don't know the geography of the area so well. I'm sure there may be some what we call hostile routes there, you know, heading somewhere. But on the main routes, excellent.
Fantastic. Well, we want to take a look at a few, things that happened this weekend. You know, talking about safety on the roads and road carnage and all of that. There's a Suboy accident that happened. It was just terrible. You know, but that's not the only accident that happened. There's a number of accidents. We have a report for you. Let's take a look at this. We'll come back and then we'll delve into the stories.
It was Black Monday on the campus of the University of Education, Winneba, as students and lecturers wore black apparels to mourn the passing of some 3 students who were part of a group of 35 students traveling back to school from Sunyani. On the faces of the students on campus, one could see sadness and dejection as they mourned their dead colleagues. Red bands were also seen on university vehicles and on some lecture halls and other administrative buildings. Here are some students sharing with City News how they received the news of their colleagues' involvement in the accident.
It was really sad, and it was very sad because Sunday morning we all weren't expecting this. So we had an organized bus from Sunyane coming to Winneba had an accident, and they said it's the driver's fault because he was sleeping. Our prayer is that may their soul rest in peace because right now they are all gone.
We had noticed that some of our students who were coming back to campus had an accident. So because of that, we said the whole UW should be in black. And so basically that's why I'm in black.
We are still in the morning session. As you can see, even I'm in my black. Morning, my friend, roommate. He was a very good boy that I used to have many fun with. But it's so unfortunate. It's a dark moment for UW students. We are very, very, very saddened by what has happened. Yeah, like they declared today as a Black Monday for UW, but not all of us are in black, but at least 80% of the student population on campus are in black today, mourning our beloved friends who are gone.
Do you happen to know anyone who was part of the band?
Sure, I know two of them. One is Ven, who happens to be a friend of mine. He died, and another girl, she was my classmate too. Oh yeah, UW goes black today, like for the whole of this week. We are going black.
Yes, I was really saddened by the incident because while some of us were going to church, some people, not everybody got the chance to survive. So even when I went to church, I really prayed that God has saved my life from all these issues, and I pray He also protect other students from getting into the same situation.
The news of the involvement of some students of the University of Education, Winneba, in an accident around the Suboi stretch in the eastern region made headlines over the weekend, with many sharing their thoughts on the incident. But the university says the death toll has risen to 3 and has promised to offer psychological therapy to the survivors of the accident, as well as help them bridge the academic gap. Ernest Azutiga speaks for the University of Education.
We can confirm that 31 of the students are alive. Unfortunately, we have lost 3 of them. One is yet to be identified. 9 students got injured and they were taken to the Suhum Government Hospital for treatment. As at yesterday, 5 of them had been treated and discharged. We have information this morning that of the 4 who are still on admission, 3 of them have been transferred to the Kufuor Regional Hospital for further attention. The students who were involved may have gone through some level of trauma and they need to be helped out of this. And so we have arranged counseling services to take care of that. We are also arranging for academic counseling to help them out of their academic situations. We also prepared to offer to these students any support that will enable them catch up with academic activities as it is now. We have also been in contact with the families of those whom we unfortunately lost, and we'll continue the conversation there and see whatever we have to do in support.
What started as a beautiful day for the newly wedded couple and their families later became a sad one. Newly wedded wife Uwata, upon hearing the news, became unconscious and went into coma and gained consciousness hours later. After gaining consciousness, Uwata has been traumatized and can barely speak. A number of family members and other loved ones have visited her to console her as she has begun her journey as a widow, although she was not even fortunate to spend the wedding night with her husband. A sister of the groom also became unconscious after receiving the news of her brother's passing. When City News visited the family house of Mohammed Zakari Babangida, the deceased groom, the family was in a state of mourning as, according to them, the mother of the deceased died a year ago only for their dear brother to lose his life on his wedding day in such a manner. Zaharat Mohammed is a sister of the deceased.
And I just made the America coin to Amukano. No, me, yes, I know more than ever. Or free Mukrai, see, and Tia the animal hoshe, Tia to our warm, no fresh, and Samra. Omoko, yeah, no, almost hard than a fan, then two canning. Tia Ohio, or more, you know. I didn't be Raha. Obano Waha. A memory question, see, I know what the inter was here, then about over who couldn't. Tia Dobana Befia, Dobano or Dam. Tia the never fear. Tinran Merano Bishan foot to Kako Foul Bano, Edna by. And to Obano, why Hantiana pay a jolly verman acquire, sorry, be a Nakorana ye. Into about 10 a young year, about 10 on the crop with Cynthia about 10. Neja, Marco Panacra, Brown Marcusino. Neja, yet to heading her boo boo among shop, or the abbey.
Now I am here at the accident scene where 40-year-old Mohammed Zakari Babangida, a groom, lost his life while driving to his wedding reception on Sunday. According to eyewitnesses, the vehicle he was driving in veered off and ended up in this ditch. Now, although the vehicle has been towed to the Joso MTTD command, some parts of the vehicle are still scattered around the scene of the accident. The Ejoso District MTTD Commander, ASP Francis Miracle, has been speaking to City News on the incident.
It was an accident which involved a Ford Escape with registration number AS 3222-21, moving from Bonfa, that is driving direction to Kumasi. On reaching a section of the road, that is Fumisa, 30 meters away from the Fumisa police station, the information received indicated that this Ford driver was overspeeding. So in the process, he lost control of the steering wheel and then hit a nearby covert and then landed him into a ditch. There were 5 persons on board. So they all got injured. But the driver was seriously injured and they were all rushed to Tech police station. And the driver died shortly on arrival. 3 of them are currently at KNUST hospital, but one has been referred to Komfo-Anokye. I'm told they were coming from a wedding from Bonfa. That was the information received.
From Fumesa, within the Ejoso municipality of the Ashanti region, I am Fati Amin Ibrahim for City News.
All right, so there you have it. Road carnage, one weekend. It's terrible. So 3 different accidents, all in a weekend.
Very tragic.
You know, very tragic, very tragic.
And
I
that,
think
that actually didn't include the one at Piki that we just heard about
no,
recently.
just last night. Yeah, there was one at Piki. You know, sometimes we always talk about trying to look at a new year and let's see how we can reduce the numbers in terms of accidents on our roads and all of that. But it looks like we're really off to a bad start. I mean, I don't know what the total numbers look like so far in comparison. I did hear that the police were saying that we are better off this year than we were last year. But, you know, it's not good. It's not good. Yeah.
Well, from what we know, the January numbers were a bit higher this year, but overall in the first quarter,
in the first quarter,
it seems to be a slight
dropped
reduction.
a little bit. Yeah.
But motorcycles are responsible for most of the deaths we're seeing so far.
Yes.
But it's still not good news.
No, it's not.
You know, it's still not good news. Nobody wants to hear of young people being killed in accidents like this. But if we look at the accidents we've seen so far, Simmons, for instance, this bus accident, well, I shouldn't call it an accident, this bus crash that killed students and other people. From what we're hearing, the driver was possibly sleeping. What condition was the bus really in? Why was there a vehicle in the middle of the road that
yeah.
hadn't been moved
Yeah.
off the road, you know, all of these elements. And it's the same things cropping up again. And we keep talking about these same things. And we keep asking the Road Safety Commission what's being done to curb these things, you know. So at this point, I'm not even sure what drastic step we can take to really see a reduction in the numbers, you know. You've been on these roads, Simmons. You've seen the way some of these people drive. Thankfully, you were in the hands of safe drivers, you know. But again, this bus issue, we rarely hear of STC buses involved in accidents like this. And we know that there's a certain level of training you have to undergo. There's a number of drivers that have to be in the vehicle
on board each
so
bus.
that there are shifts. If you're if you're sleepy, you're tired, you shouldn't be operating a vehicle. So those rules alone were broken in the case of this accident. So it was preventable. Okay, we can even take the story on citynewsroom.com where they explain in detail why these accidents were preventable. And that's coming from the National Road Safety Authority. So 2 separate crashes, we've seen those at Esuboy and Oframasi near Nkoko. So in an interview with City News, the Eastern Regional Director of the National Road Safety Authority, Daniel Yeribu, described the accidents as unfortunate, and he said they could have easily been avoided. Now, he talked about the speed limit for that stretch. He said it's 90 kilometers per hour, but even with that, that's supposed to be for saloon cars. But you see buses doing 120, 150, when they shouldn't really exceed 80. So the question is, what are they doing to stop that and to curb that?
Well, we actually have the acting head of regulation, inspection, and compliance, Mr. Kwame Kodua Etuahene, on the line with us. This is from the National Road Safety Authority. Well, we're going to get in touch. We're going to link up with him. Yes, good morning, Mr. Kodua Etuahene.
Good morning, my brother.
Yes, how are you doing this morning?
Brother.
All right, welcome to Breakfast Daily. Right, now, this weekend has been a pretty dark one as far as, you know, the road carnage situation is concerned. As National Road Safety Authority, what are your thoughts?
I want to agree with you that there's been some worrying incidents of traffic over the weekend, and coming after the January to February situation is a lot to worry about, and requires that we must intensify all the system effort as we build up to another busy year of the year being Easter. So when you look at the January, February, I think from the preliminary data we have, we appear to register some relative decline in the injuries and also deaths, even though crashes have gone up by some 3%. But compared to the same period last year, about 9% reduction. Well, we need to find ways to sustain that and even improve the rate of decline by the end of the year. But when in one weekend you have 3 to 5 incidents, some of which involve high occupancy buses that often have the best of safety standards, leading to about 17 deaths. It's a source of concern to us, and we've been thinking to look at what could be done in the short to medium term. We would ask for some kind of support from the public.
Yeah. Now, the accident at Esuboy, as an example, there was an articulated truck that was parked by the roadside, apparently broken down. What's the situation with clearing of, you know, these broken down vehicles from the sides of our roads? You know, because there was a time when we actually saw active removal of some of these things. It seems to have stopped, or am I wrong?
Yes, I mean, you're right. And that's part of the problem. And that's why we have for public support in some of these, for the these measures. You will recall a couple of years back when we initiated this conversation about tolls. We appear to disagree among ourselves. The government has been tested in action of friendship. But the reality is that it's very fair to ourselves that problem continues to stay with us. But when government asked that it be suspended, the responsibility was passed on to the police. But today, I can say to you with every degree of certainty that the entire Ghana police service does not have one tow truck.
Wow.
So that if the service receives complaints from distressed vehicle owners or drivers, we have 4 months private operators. There has been instances where we've also had similar concerns. But when we try to have the eventual must have broken down in the football area or on the Manchester, and the closest vehicle with capacity to tow the high tonnage vehicle maybe about 100 kilometers away.
Wow.
And to drive from that stretch may take some bit of time. And even that the cost of the private operator, the private towing operator will not move his truck over 100 kilometers and expect to pay 2 times for the service. So sometimes when the vehicle owners are confronted with how much to pay for the service, as opposed to the penalty you suffer for leaving your vehicles there, as reasonable as they are, they choose the option which is most expensive part, and they just all about the details.
Then maybe don't you think that the punitive measures are not high enough for leaving your vehicles there?
Yes, I saw myself advocating for all of us to take a second look at the penalty as far as traffic offenders are concerned. That's a typical point. So the vehicle owner who may leave his vehicle on the road, if the police decides to press prosecutions where they even find a trap for him, he might end up paying us, as low as 200 and 300 Ghana cedis as penalty.
Wow.
The consequence of leaving that vehicle there is some of the experiences we see in Russia. And you must fight the truck. Sometimes the cost is very deterring that it's very comfortable trying to repair the trucks on the road. So I think on the disabled vehicle related issues, maybe you might all have to reflect again on the options and try to find a solution, because as much as the other options are suspended, I mean, the problem lies with us. And we are all worried. When we discuss these matters, we say it all the time from my end. It's not as though we are not concerned. I am exposed to the risk. My nature of work takes me around day and night. It is only by the grace that I survive the threat that others are unable to survive. So if there's something we could all do together, try to manage these concerns, we must.
Mr. Tiani, I know where you're going, Kweku David, because while we can appreciate the challenges of your job, it just sounds like there isn't the sense of urgency to really solve this issue. I'm sorry to conclude that way, but we look at the road crashes we've suffered, even in this first quarter alone, and we go back to the past, we've lost children, and nobody seems to bat an eyelash. At some point, and I don't know if the situation has changed now, but the NRSA didn't even have a functional board. And so it looked as though operations were at a standstill because your hands were tied as far as decision making. Now you're telling us, well, the police service doesn't have any tow trucks. Does the authority have the wherewithal to lobby for the police to get these tow trucks? Because this is something that's under your purview. Is there a criminal aspect to someone who leaves a vehicle on the road and causes a crash what happens to the driver and the owner of that vehicle aside a fine that they have to pay? How does the authority push for prosecution in those cases for causing loss of life? You know, and again, I'm sorry if this seems a bit accusatory, but it almost seems as though we really do not value the lives that are being lost on our roads on a daily basis. You know, and if this is the posture of the country and the authority that's in charge of making sure our roads are safe, then as normal citizens, what do you expect us to do?
No, to the contrary, I think that's the point I said. But first of all, I think we have a bond. The bond has been in place up to about last year. And there's a number of things that the bond has been involved. The point I made was that in respect for tolling, before I come to that, I think if we look at the data for January and February, it points to some progress, unless we don't want to acknowledge that. We also reported close to 10% reduction in deaths over the same period last year cannot be insignificant. That said, it doesn't mean that we are happy with the account of the last weekend. But I picked out the issue of the tolling on the disabled vehicle based on the questions and what is being done. And I thought to make the point that we have come to a position of trying to fix that concern. And all of us, I mean, as a people, we conspire to say that ultimately what that option was not workable and was suspended. And I'm trying to help all of us appreciate the frustration that comes with the decision to suspend that option. And yes, if you look at the law today, if you look at the road traffic regulations 2018, all the public sector institutions at play now, the responsibility rests with the police to deal with disabled trucks.
Okay.
And I'm assisting us to appreciate the concerns that they have, that if my vehicle breaks down, the law says when the vehicle breaks down, inform the police. Because it is not in the contemplation of the law that when you buy a vehicle, you must buy a tow truck. It is unreasonable. But when your vehicle breaks down, inform the police. The police has no truck, and they have to rely on private partners. And I'm saying that even from the private environment, the capacity issues are very good. So we all need to appreciate that from that perspective. So if we came to a situation where we say, okay, this is a public safety matter, government, not the National Road Safety Authority, government takes a view on the safe attitude to enforcing assemblies with ambulance services, for instance, that if every assembly were going to have a decent set of tow trucks, this conversation will be done and over. But is government in a position to do that all by itself? I doubt. So we must figure out how to do or how to deal with it. And there's really a number of things that is being considered. We'll recall, I mean, close to December, the Ministry of Transport, as part of efforts to review that law, tabled a number of propositions which is going to be considered. And we all have to take interest in order to find one way, I mean, a solution or the other to deal with that concern. Because the problem continues to live with us, anyhow you look at it. And the police is helpless. Maybe they may not be able to express sentiments. For the life of the Ghana police service, they have never owned a tow truck. The last time they did, it was bought for them by the National Road Safety Commission, and that was even with sponsorship from the World Bank. And these are real issues that we cannot afford to be very, we must be dispassionate and see them as it is so that together we can develop a solution that works for all. But having said that, if you look at the data again very closely, even though we had these issues of motorcycle, I was a high occupancy buses, to be fair to the fact that the prices are rising from commercial vehicles and high occupancy buses as opposed to the other modes. There's been some relative decline along those areas as well. But it is not at the level that we are comfortable with. And that's why we need to all sit back and try to intensify that which can be done.
All right.
And
Okay.
I'd like to tell you,
Thank you.
All right, we appreciate your time. I think we'll leave it here. Thank you.
I'm grateful.
Thank you.
All right. So that was Mr. Kwame Kodua Echiahene, the acting head of Regulation, Inspection and Compliance of the National Road Safety Authority. Semens,
the Ghana Police
it
Service
says the
does
Ghana
not
Police Service
own a tow
in its
truck.
life has never owned a tow truck. But the LI 2180 says that if your car breaks down, your responsibility is to call on the police to get them to remove the vehicle. I think we have a problem.
I think we've been trying to take a second look at this LI. I think a few years ago when there was conversation about having a company to provide that service, you know, and the usual Ghana stuff. We won't exhaust the conversation dispassionately. They rather make it a subjective discussion, and because the name Zoom Lion popped up, it was dismissed outright.
Yeah.
And that's how we mess ourselves up.
Yeah.
Because you heard Zoom Lion, no, then you know, I mean, in my 1 week travel around Ghana, and I'm talking about recent travels, my conclusion was that no government effort singularly can bring development to this country. And I'm saying without partnership from the private sector. Okay. And the police as an institution have been structured in a particular way for law enforcement. Okay. The police naturally is not the place where governments have invested resources over the years. Okay. And in terms of the priority of the police itself, I am not so sure towing vehicles will be in the top 5. I'm not so sure. I don't know for a fact. But that's not to say that it's not necessary. We need it. I think we should go back to the conversation of private participation in the provision and regulation of these towing vehicles. It's like postal services. Postal services, parcel delivery, and all these things.
Courier service.
Courier services. You understand?
Yeah.
And because it's bigger than one institution can handle. You understand? It's bigger than one institution can handle. I mean, look at the ambulance services. We have the ambulance, the National Ambulance Service, but you have hospitals that also run ambulances. You understand? So I'm just saying that is a very big task. And what we know is that what pertains now will keep killing us. Okay. I mean, my call on the police is to have a stronger hand in disciplining some of these errant drivers. I mean, park a huge truck in the middle of nowhere and then put leaves on the road and go and sleep under the vehicle.
We need to stop it.
I mean, for people to come to the level where they think that it's business as usual, that if my vehicle, even in the urban centers now, now what happens is the taxi driver, vehicle breaks down, and they just leave it there.
There.
And they do that because there's no consequence. Nobody gets punished.
True.
I mean, you do this in the UK, you'll be in jail.
Of course.
You'll be in jail. No policeman is coming to have an ethnicity conversation with you. Oh, you're chrome for there, you know, and then they mess everything up. I mean, things that can expose us to these kinds of dangers in other developed worlds, well, other parts of the developed world, it's criminal. It's a criminal offense. You don't leave, and most of these accidents, they all go along the same pattern. A car breaks down, a vehicle breaks down, it's left there overnight. And then somebody else drives into it. Reason is there are no street lights on the highways.
Yeah.
So they don't see, they
see.
drive, people perish,
Yeah.
one person is reprimanded, and then the next day, look at, within a space of 24 hours, we have 4 or 5 accidents in the news.
Yeah.
And I make emphasis in the news.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guess the ones that are not in the news.
Wow.
So I am saying that the laws are there. Maybe we should revisit the degree of punishment that we mete out to offenders. Because, I mean, for instance, I saw a policeman stop somebody for driving at 60 kilometers per hour. And I'm like, is that the worst thing that you can stop somebody for 60 kilometers on Accra Kumasi Road when people are doing 120 kilometers and endangering people's lives?
Yeah.
You know, at times you are driving and somebody overtakes you and I feel like, can I go and stop this man and give him 1 or 2 engagements by the side of the ear? I mean, why are you going with the people?
Yeah.
And they don't care.
No, they don't.
They don't care. They don't care because nothing happens to them. You see, this is my problem. Nothing happens to them.
Yeah.
If we start effecting this criminal element of it, that if you knock your car against somebody's car in a reckless manner, you go to jail.
Yeah.
You pay money and you go to jail.
Yeah.
They will stop it.
Yeah.
But they know that nothing will happen. I'm telling you. That's what, I mean, for me, if nothing at all, what the police can start with is to deal with people who leave their trucks on the road.
I agree.
Yeah.
They should rent, the police should rent towing vehicles.
Yeah.
Towing vehicles. And go and tow the vehicles. If you come, you pay penalty plus the cost of renting the towing vehicles.
Yes.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
If you won't do it, they should have a law. If you don't do it after 2 months, they sell your vehicle off. I mean, we have to be radical. Look, these drivers, they know what is good and what is bad. You kind of say, but we don't bother many here.
The person is mad, but the person is not mad, though, but it's like your eye day top, but you behave like you're a madman.
Like walking crazy.
Because they know what is good. Look, at times when you are driving, I mean, I use the Cape Coast Road very, very often. When you are driving, you get to a point, all you notice is that every car has slowed down.
Yes.
Okay. Or the oncoming vehicles, they start giving you red lights.
Because they know
Why?
what's ahead.
Because they know what's ahead. So we know that what we are doing is not correct.
Yes.
But because there's policeman there, Charlie, let's calm down. Then when they pass, then back inside again. So who are you deceiving?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
You know, the day an elderly pastor friend of mine told me that no matter how you speed, the difference of time that you can redeem is no more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. I actually saw it. I saw it in a documentary.
They said no matter how you speed, you can't make more than 5 minutes. So what's the point?
What's the point?
In exposing, you know, just going to kill yourself?
Yeah.
But there are times that you are not speeding, like this wedding guy going here somewhere. Somebody speeding straight into his vehicle. He's dead.
That's it.
Complete.
Yeah.
Because of someone else's recklessness. Why?
Reckless driving, dangerous driving, whatever you call it. I mean, if it's the fault of the driver determined by a court, I don't think people should be let off the hook.
No.
Yeah. There's a situation that I actually wanted to ask the gentleman, but you know, when you're driving towards, the overhead, the circle overhead, and you're descending to circle from Adabraka, you're descending down towards circle.
To the Orion area?
Yes, to the Orion area, yeah. The netting, the barbed wire mesh that is supposed to separate the two sides, right, of the road has been ripped apart, and it's dangerously into the side when you're getting, heading into as you're descending down from the overhead towards Orion, right? It's poking out And it's like if you're not careful and you miss it, you are going to run your vehicle into a barbed wire mesh, right? And I'm asking myself that this is not the only dangerous thing that is on the highway from here to say Achimota. There are incidents of boulders that are supposed to be dividing, that are shifting into the road, all these kinds of things. And day after day, we are watching. Nothing's happening.
Some of them would be a collaboration between the law enforcement and the district or municipal assembly, and then maybe state authorities in some cases. And it always it's always drilled down to financial issues. The cost of getting it done. Where at times I use certain roads, and you see a small patch of the road, some character recklessly digs the place because they say they are from Ghana Telecom or whatever. Some of they just dig, and then when they finish, they put sand there and leave.
And then they go.
And then it develops into a huge
gully.
And nobody
because there are no
anything.
Consequences for
exactly.
actions.
I think it's because people get away with it. I mean, that's all we can say. But we can't live like that as a country. We cannot. We can't. And people are dying. I mean, look. What the Nkoko one, the Suboy one,
from us,
the
Peki
one,
that we just
then
saw.
the Fubesia one, and I'm sure you can mention all over accidents, 2-3 a day on main highways. And what upsets me is that the accidents are happening for the same reason.
Yeah.
The same reason, and we can't deal with it. That case number one, somebody parked their truck here, somebody drove into it. So what do you do to people who leave their trucks on the road? And this one, we can't deal with it. If you leave your truck on the road, you have to be punished for it.
Simple.
No matter what, you cannot leave your truck on the road.
We should not
so
be
this conversation of having tow vehicles, whether they are private tow vehicles or state-owned, whatever, should be on the front burner again. Because that's the way to go.
That's the way to go.
If the vehicle there's a problem with it, you need to get a towing vehicle to move it from there, especially when you're on the highway. And now you see even traffic light. About 2 weeks ago, I saw somebody, traffic light, taxi. He has stopped and opened the bonnet. So I moved to the other side. I said, but why do you do this? He said, me check here there. Now me tell it's bit me check here there.
At the traffic light.
Traffic light, I'm telling you. And he didn't even move. No, he just left it there. And leisurely or check here there. And this person is a criminal. He shouldn't be, because he can kill somebody.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll take a quick break. We'll continue the discussion. #Breakfast Daily, #Heritage Month on City. Let us know your thoughts on what we're discussing.